The big question right now, the one that everyone is wondering is the fall off real? Because at the time of this recording, it is projected that Uzi is going to be selling around 60,000 first week sales, which is a dramatic drop off from their previous project, their previous album, Pink Tape, which at the time was considered a pretty mediocre album, which nonetheless debuted at #1 at 160,000 first week sales. It's also important to mention that because Eternal Take 2 is Uzi's fourth studio album, when we take a look at the original Eternal Take, that was over 288,000 copies first week sold. But let's go ahead and talk about the most recent 3 albums from Uzi, because this is what gets people scared. We have Eternal Take, the original, that dropped on the 6th of March of 2020. We also have Pink Tape that dropped on June 30th of 2023. And we also have Eternal Take that just dropped back on the 1st of November of 2024. And that is essentially what is getting people worried, because we're having these massive drop-offs between these projects, and they're massive numbers, into the 6 digits. From Eternal Take, the original, to Pink Tape, that's 121,000 difference. From Pink Tape to Eternal Take, that's over 100,000 difference. Now, when an artist has been around as long as Uzi has, it's completely normal that they're going to slightly decline, possibly when their numbers come out, right? Not every artist is going to be fresh. Not every artist is going to be new. Not every artist is going to be sought out, especially when they get bigger and more accustomed to the public. To really hit it home, let's look at an artist who I believe has been around the same amount of time as Uzi. They both blew up around the same time, 2015, 2016, but I will say arguably is a bigger artist than Uzi, just given the type of music that they make. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and take a look at Post Malone. From Beer Bongs and Bentleys all the way to F1 Trillion. Now, given the amount of time, Uzi has only dropped 3 albums within the same amount of time, whereas Post Malone has dropped 5. But it is the fact that Post Malone has dropped more projects than Uzi. I should say albums, because he's dropped projects in between, but has dropped more albums than Uzi, but still has better numbers and they're more consistent. I think it's even more of a testament to essentially the argument that I'm trying to make. 2018's Beer Bongs and Bentleys did 461 first week. Hollywood's Bleeding did 489 first week. Now, this is where we do see a drop off, and this is a dramatic drop off, but with 12 Carat Toothache, we go all the way down to 121. That's followed up by Austin, which is at 113, and we finish off with F1 Trillion that actually jumps up to 250 first week sales. So here we have an artist who is dropping more albums, so the anticipation isn't nearly as long. The first weeks are just exponentially higher, at least in the beginning. We do see a massive drop off, but we still stay within the 6-figure range. And even towards the end, or at least more recently, we are actually jumping right back up. We're actually coming back up again. This is really important because it tells us a lot of information and why first week sales are such an important metric, what executives want to look at when they see the top talent on their roster. First week sales really are telling us how much people are waiting on an artist. Second week sales really kind of tell us how good the project is, given the fact that people had a week to listen to it. And if it tends to go up, really means that the project's doing really well and the music's pretty good. But when it comes to first week sales, it really does tell us how much anticipation is surrounding an artist. So this tells us, especially when we compare them side by side, that Uzi needs to change something. Right now in Uzi's camp, something is missing. Where I believe Uzi is at their strongest is when they're just spitting bars, which is something that they used to do all the time, but for whatever reason, just as they've gotten older or matured as an artist, have chosen really not to do anymore and has focused far more on melodies, which is fine. But what I think Uzi needs to do is just spit bars, that really hard, grimy gutter shit, which is something that they used to do all the time. Shells is a great example. That feature is a perfect example. A lot of their unreleased shit. Right now, Uzi's getting the reputation that they don't know what to drop because a lot of their unreleased shit, especially as of late, is far better than what we have been getting. The stuff that they have with Yeet, for example, the Geek Tape was phenomenal. That is probably one of my favorite projects, especially within recent years. What made Uzi such an attractive artist early in the initial years is because despite the fact of how animated they could be, if you were to strip every bit of that away, what you would have inherently is a stone cold rapper. Uzi by far is one of the best all-around rappers that we have in the modern era. The best way Uzi can remind people of their rapping prowess is, one, keep releasing the unreleased shit, or keep making music like the unreleased shit, because that shit's fucking fire. Second is surround yourself with rappers that have a reputation, or at least are known for prioritizing bars first. And sure, you could do melodies and everything like that, which Uzi fantastic at, but right now if we want to reestablish that base, fuck around with the Detroit scene, fuck around with some rappers like OT7 Kwani, for example. I mean, even if we were to look at somebody like Future, who is in the same ballpark as Uzi, which is fitting because they also have a project together. That's what Future does a lot. I mean, for a lot of the melodic shit that he does, with a lot of singing that he does, he still has a massive area of his portfolio where he reminds people that he is a hood poet. But do we want to say that Uzi's falling off, or that Cardi's doing laps around him? Yes and no. I mean, no, I don't believe that he's falling off, but this is what seems like the beginning of a very scary downwards trend. And is Cardi doing laps around him? Sure. Doesn't really need to be a competition, but has always been seen that way since they came up together, and they've always really been heavily associated with each other. And when Cardi wasn't really doing too hot, Uzi was doing really hot, and now that Cardi's doing really hot, Uzi isn't really doing too hot. But what do you think of the Uzi that we have now? What do you think of the album? Do you think that we are at the beginning of the end? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm Sonnybabie, and I'm out.